Hi, my name is Eric Shelman, and I'm here to review the book Bitter Memories. Sue Julsen asked me if I would be so kind as to read and review her book for her on video. So I said I would. I'd be happy to do that. I think part of the reason she asked me if I would do this is because she knows I'm a writer. I also wrote a book called Out of the Darkness, the story of Mary Ellen Wilson, which is a book about a child abuse case from the 1800s. There's a big difference writing a story about somebody else and then writing a story about yourself. In this book, Bitter Memories, a memoir of heartache and survival, Sue Julsen has changed the names of the principals, including herself. She becomes Sarah in this book. But it is a book that details the brutal abduction and the daily life of a little girl that we're introduced to as Sarah. But Sarah is actually Sue. As I said, there's a big difference between talking about your own book and someone else's. I wasn't so closely tied to the subject of my book as Sue was to hers. In fact, they're clearly inseparable. But in the process of writing a book like Bitter Memories, much less discussing it, I get the distinct impression from my conversations with Sue that she's not all that comfortable still. And I get this nobody else could really understand feeling when I ask certain questions. And that would be true, because the little girl in Bitter Memories, Sarah, she's abducted at age 3 by her father. He takes her across state lines, he lays low, changes her name, they never stay near her very long, and it isn't long before he starts to sexually abuse her. And it even goes so far as for him to allow other men to enjoy, quote unquote, enjoy what he's taught her. Horrifying, yeah. And it's also part of the reason that this child develops multiple personalities to shield her from the pain of these abuses. And Jean and Polly and even a male personality, Scotty, step in when little Sarah can't handle the situation and they protect her. So this storyline is juxtaposed, when Sarah is on the road with her father Eli, who has abducted her. It's juxtaposed by the family life, the family struggling to find her, struggling to deal with daily life without her. Her mother, Violet, turns to alcohol and begins to abuse it pretty severely and fights constantly with her sister Barbara, causing Sarah's Uncle Henry, who's a police officer, to have to come over repeatedly in all hours of the night to separate these two. Her mother ends up in rehabilitation, or sanitarium, whatever you like to call it, repeatedly as well. So the loss of a child clearly can destroy not only the life of the child, but all the other lives involved. So she goes in and out of rehabilitation, and we obviously as readers know the reason, and we know that the source of her pain is unlikely to go away until Sarah is returned. So anyway, so the abduction of the child ruined the lives of many as they struggle to deal with the loss and bring her back home. But months, then years pass. Eli leaves Sarah locked in the car while he seeks out women who he can charm. They end up living with many of these women, sometimes just for a day or two, other times for months, and some are worse than others. But eventually, they always leave. And in the memory of a little child, we find that the departure is always secretive and sometimes brutal. And we get the impression that perhaps some of these women were killed as they left, and we don't really know for sure, at least from the memory of the child, the way it's shared with us. But you never know what was behind the door that Eli closed when they left for the last time in a given home. Now, does Sarah ever get reunited with her family? Well, I'll tell you she does, because I have some photographs, but I won't say when or how. Bitter Memories is a good, quick read, though. It is a quick read. It'll sweep you into a world of good and evil, grief and joy, and most of all to an understanding of what abused children, even when taken by a parent, can be put through. So statistically, sexual abuse is normally perpetrated by family members. But until you're sitting silently by as a reader and seeing and feeling what the child is experiencing, you can't understand it. So I recommend you get Bitter Memories by Sue Julsen, and it's available at any online bookstore. And you can order it probably at a local bookstore, but online is where it's easiest to get any book. And you may just learn something about survival, and I'm sure you'll learn what resilience is all about, because Sue Julsen's resilient. She made it. That's what you'll learn about. So thank you very much. Pick up Better Memories. I think you'll find it to be a fascinating read.